All right, everybody. So this is our Friday night wealth creation course. If you're just now joining us for the first time, I want to thank you for tuning in. If you have been joining us week after week, like a lot of you guys have, I want to thank you for always checking this out, for always being on board with us. It's good to see everybody. AJ, great to see you. Hector, good to see you. Jen, good to see you. Josue, good to see you. Keith, Robin, good to see all you guys. Let me know how the audio sounds. I want to make sure that my volume is good for everybody. And tonight, what we're going to be talking about is something to me that is extremely important. It's a big part of my story. So if you guys are joining us, you might be on Instagram, might be on Facebook, might be on YouTube, wherever it might be. I'm going to be addressing during our wealth creation course tonight the topic of financial excuses. Okay, the topic of financial excuses. And the reason why is I think it's something we need to cover. I think it's something we need to discuss. And it's been a big part of my story, like I mentioned. Let me get Facebook straightened out really quick. Facebook seems to lag a little bit. There we go. So it's something that's a big part of my story. So again, guys, when we're doing these courses, the reason I do these is it's information that I wish I had. Okay. So for me, during my life, probably from the age of, I would say 18 to maybe about 21, 22, I was full of financial excuses. Okay, full of it, and literally full of it, right? But I was full of financial excuses, reasons why things weren't going the way they should be. Trying to explain away my financial failures, trying to make things seem less than they were in order to make it more comfortable or easier to justify why I was staying where I was with my finances. So before we dive into this, I want to go ahead and define the word excuse, because it's a word I've heard and used since I was a kid, but I want to make sure we all understand what it is. All right, so there's a couple definitions. So there's the verb. So this is something I want to hit, the word excuse in pertaining to finances. Okay, there's a verb, excuse, right? So the verb is attempt to lessen the blame, attaching to a fault or offense, seek to defend or justify. Okay, attempting to lessen the blame on a fault or an offense, seeking to defend or justify. That's an excuse as a verb. I'm attempting to lessen something, to take the blame away from something, to minor the offense, make it smaller than it was. The other one is to release someone from a duty or requirement. None of these sound good. There's a noun, the verb, or the definition of excuse as a noun, a reason or explanation put forward to defend or justify a fault or offense. Okay, justifying a fault or offense. Poor and inadequate example of it is an excuse. So again, basically it's justifying. I want to look up this word justify as well, because when you look at all this stuff, it really puts it in perspective. So to show or prove to be right or reasonable, that's justifying. So an excuse is an attempt to justify something, to lessen how wrong it is, to make it somebody else's fault, to make it not my job, not my responsibility, and to show or prove that it is right or reasonable. That is the definition of an excuse. Okay, so when I talk about excuses tonight, these are moments where we're taking something that doesn't work, right? With finances, if something doesn't work, it's going to show up in our numbers. Right? It's going to show up in our income. It's going to show up in our expenses. It's going to show up in our assets. It's going to show up in our liabilities. If we have families, it's going to show up in our relationships. If we have businesses, it's going to show up with our employees and with our clients and our vendors. Excuses financially rear their heads through numbers that don't make sense. Negative cash flow, having more liabilities than assets, having nothing invested, speculating on investments when I don't even have passive income yet. Those are all things that don't make sense. Defending those decisions is the form of the excuse. Okay. So I want to talk tonight about that, because we've talked about traps, right? Things other people, other institutions have put out there financially to slow us down or to prevent us from making progress, right? We have talked about distractions, things that we get involved in, right? That we get distracted by because we have our attention on the wrong things, but we haven't talked about excuses yet. And it comes to a point where someone will hear information about money and finances. Okay, someone will see that there are better ways to do it. Someone will see that they're not getting results, and they're going to identify like, oh, I'm involved in a bunch of financial traps or bad ideas like mortgages and car payments, yada, yada, yada. Or they're going to look at, I'm distracted. right? At that point, that individual has the opportunity to make a decision. If I'm getting involved in financial traps, mortgages, 401ks, credit cards, car loans, student loans, I can make the decision to stop. I don't have to keep doing those things. Okay? If I'm distracting myself with finances, I can make the decision to focus. Or I can make the decision to defend those things so I can keep doing them. That's where the excuse comes in. So that's what we're addressing tonight. Now, guys, again, we do these courses every single week. We've been doing these going on 3 years. Some of what I'm covering tonight is going to be from my book. It's called How to Create Wealth. Okay. Freaking 59-page booklet that I wrote 2 years ago on money. So it's called How to Create Wealth. So we're going to talk about how to handle some of these excuses from the book. Right. And the goal here is to provide education. We do these courses every week. I've always done this because it's stuff that I wanted to know. It's stuff that I had to go search out for myself because nobody was out there sharing the information. And those that I saw that were sharing information, it wasn't the right information. It wasn't helpful. It wasn't things that, for me, actually were making progress and results in my life. So when we do these courses, it's information that I think is going to help. Okay. And so as we're going through this, a couple of ground rules, I will lay these down every week. Number one, if I say anything you don't understand, ask a question. Okay. Ask a question, get the knowledge, be the person that might look dumb for 2 or 3 minutes while you get knowledge that's going to make you smart for the rest of your life. Ask questions. We'll always answer those at the end. Second thing is positivity only on these feeds. Okay. These are courses we do every Friday about money. There's one group on this feed, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, that is interested and engaged. They want to know about money. They want to improve their finances. And they're taking time out of their lives on a Friday when they could be out with their family. They could be out with their friends. They could be going to eat. They could be partying. They could be watching movies. Instead, they're here. That's why I do these courses. I was that guy. But at the time I was learning about this, there was no Jerry Fetta. There was, Facebook was just coming out. There's nobody doing live streams every single week to teach about money. Right. And so it was something that I didn't have access to. And that's one of the reasons I do it is I know there's people like that are interested. And I want to make sure you have the pathway to knowledge. Okay. The second group of people just doesn't have anything to do on a Friday. Okay. They don't have friends. They're not married. They don't have a spouse. They don't have kids. They weren't going to go out because no one invited them. So they basically sit on feeds like this and troll. If that's you, just leave while you can. Okay. This is for positive people and contributors only. We're really focusing on knowledge. And so anybody that's been going to be critical or negative or a distraction, like just go somewhere else. Okay. This is not the feed for that. This is somewhere to be respectful of those that actually want to learn and improve their lives. Right now, the other rule that I have here, guys, is as we're going through this, okay, again, if you have a question, drop it in the comments. We're going to answer those at the very end. So I might not hit your questions right off the bat. Okay, but I will hit them at the end. Okay, so make sure you do ask them. So again, we're talking tonight about excuses. Okay, financial excuses. Okay, we're going to be sharing some stuff from my book, How to Create Wealth, right here. If you have it, follow along. If you don't, you can grab a copy of it. Go to jerryfetta.com. But this is about excuses. And I want to just share a couple of stories, right? So for me growing up, when it came to money, it was kind of a sore topic in my family. Okay, we didn't have money. Like we lived below poverty, right? I had brothers and sisters. We lived below poverty. My parents were in and out of work. When I was probably 8, 9 years old, I remember watching us in the same summer. My parents get divorced over money. We lose our house. And then my mom's car gets repoed. And then we immediately go from that to living in a motorhome with my dad, and then living in a camper behind some guy's house in his backyard with my mom. That was my summer that year. Okay. So I did not have a good relationship with money growing up. So I kind of had a disdain for it. I was like, I don't want it. I'm not interested in it. All it did was cause problems. And so that, as I've talked about before, kind of slapped me upside the head when I started becoming an adult and I had bills and I had responsibilities. Okay. But I was kind of split where I was like, I have to work and pay bills, but I also don't like money and I have disdain for it. And so it's kind of like wafting. I wasn't definitively going one direction or the other. And so what I did is I was failing with money. I was not saving. Okay. When I earned money, I would spend all of it right away on temporary things, right? I wasn't investing. Like nobody in my family invested. So you have to understand, like, it wasn't like I knew to invest. It was like, I didn't even know that was something I was allowed to do, right? I was that poor kid, right? Free lunches in high school, ride the bus every day, like that type of lifestyle. So when it came to the topic of investing, I was like, I don't even know if that's something I'm allowed to do. Like in my socioeconomic status, am I allowed to invest? I didn't know that, right? So when I start getting to the point and I start seeing like I'm able to start making my own decisions, I kept on repeating the same things I grew up with. I talked about this in previous weeks. I had years and years and years of bad habits. And so those had compounded and those became what they were, habits, right? And so I started really building those up. And the result was I was failing with my finances. Okay, I was not winning with my finances. I was having a hard time. I was not experiencing success, and my kind of pinnacle of bad decisions happened around the age of 19. Okay, so when I was 19, my car broke. Okay, my car broke down. I didn't have money saved. I could have, but I didn't. And so what I did is I went out and I financed a vehicle. Okay, the entire time I was spending money on bodybuilding, on nutrition, on supplements. Me and Lexi were going out at the time after high school. So we were dating. I was spending money on going out with her, but I wasn't saving. I wasn't budgeting. I wasn't doing anything. Okay. That year I financed my first vehicle. My car payment was $350 and my insurance was like $400. So I'm spending like $700 a month now to drive a car. Used to be zero. I didn't have a monthly car payment prior to that. So now all of a sudden I have this responsibility kind of weighing down on me, right? And I'm not saving money. I'm saving even less now. And now I'm starting to also hate my job because I'm pretty much working so that I can pay my rent and my car payment. And I didn't like the feeling of that, which I was right to not like that, right? But instead of changing it, I use an excuse. Now I want to kind of break down the anatomy of an excuse so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to share my screen for you guys that are on Zoom and Facebook. By the way, if you are on Instagram, you guys are not going to be able to see my screen. Instagram does not integrate with Zoom. So if you'd like to see my screen, you can hop over to my Facebook page instead. Just go Jerry Fetta on my Facebook page. You can see all of this stuff I'm about to share here, right? So excuses look like this. This is my drawing of the anatomy of an excuse. So here's me. I don't know why my legs look like that, but they do. Here's me, right? And I have something going on with money. Okay, it's either going to be something regarding expenses or something regarding income. Okay, but it's an incident. It's something. So we're gonna represent this with a star. It's something, right? So something is going on with my money. I see it and I don't like it. That's where an excuse starts. I see it and I don't like it. Right? So it could be I'm not earning enough income. I see that and I don't like it. Okay, it could be that I have to spend money on something that I'm not interested in and I wasn't planning for. I see it, but I don't like it. So what I do is I look at it and I view it as something other than it is. Right? I misduplicate it on purpose. I tweak or I alter just enough of it so that it's not, in my opinion, what it really is. Why would I do that? Like, think about this. If let's relate this to if I'm in a fight. Okay, if I'm in a fight, someone's about to punch me in the face and I don't know how to fight and I can't confront the idea of being punched in the face, I might pretend like it's not going to happen. Okay, it's a form of denial. An excuse starts as a form of denial, right? It doesn't change the fact that I'm going to get hit, but if I can convince myself that that's not what's happening, then that's something that's going to, in my mind, make me more right. Like we talked about the definition we said on a justification. Okay, let me find this for you again. A justification. Show or prove something to be right or reasonable, right? So a justification is showing or proving something to be right or reasonable. So in this instance, like if I'm talking about I'm in a fight, I'm about to get hit in the face. I don't want to, but I have to remain right because I don't want to lose. I might look at it different than it is. And I might act like it's not going to happen. And I might pretend it didn't hurt. I might pretend like it's not what's actually going on, right? But those are all justifications. So when I look at this thing as, okay, I've got finances going on, I've got income, I've got expenses. If I'm not earning enough money, I might make that something other than it is. Okay, I might make that somebody else's fault. I'm broke. Therefore, instead of saying I don't produce because I'm lazy or I don't add value to people or I don't communicate, whatever it might be, which for me was the case. I was lazy. I wasn't adding value to people, right? I wasn't producing. So I had an income problem. right? And instead of looking at I have an income problem, because that would make me wrong. And again, if I'm in the excuse making mode, I'm trying to justify and make something right or prove that it's right or reasonable. I can't say I'm not earning enough income, because not earning enough income is not right and it's not reasonable. So instead, we go back to the excuse thing. I have to make it not my job. I have to make it someone else's fault. So that's what I started doing. This is where an excuse comes in. So I have a particle come in with finances. I don't like it. I make it look in my own mind different than it really is, right? We're talking about this right here. And then I utilize the fact that it's different than it really is to then make it someone else's fault so that I don't have to do something about it. Because if I had to do something about it, here's the insidious part about excuses. If I had to do something about it, that is admission of fault, right? Pick up the coffee. It's hot. I drink it. It burns my mouth. I stop. I would, in stopping, be admitting that I should not have drank the coffee in the first place. Someone like where I was at, where I was full of excuses, for me being wrong was such a bad thing that I couldn't admit it. I couldn't admit that I was wrong with my finances. So I just kept on drinking the hot coffee. As long as I don't stop drinking and nobody knows about it, I don't have to be wrong. And what's funny about that is it doesn't change the result. It does not change the fact that I freaking burned the hell out of my mouth just now. Right? So with finances, I'm not earning enough income. I look at it. I don't like it. I tweak it a little bit. Oh, it's not that I'm earning not enough income. It's that I'm a minority, or it's that I didn't go to college, or that it's my parents got divorced, or any number of reasons that I used when I was growing up about why I wasn't earning enough income. Why I was never supposed to. We're not from that group of people. I wasn't born with money. Those are all the reasons. I would tweak it to make it okay that I wasn't earning enough money. Then I would make it someone else's fault. My boss doesn't pay me enough, right? Or I got sick, or my car broke down, whatever it might be, so that I can then make it someone else's fault, so that I can continue not earning enough income without having to admit that I'm just not earning enough income. Okay. These are so insidious. So I want to go over some of the excuses that I used, and I want to also hit some of the ones that you guys might use. So if you're watching this today, feel free to post in the comments if these are things you can relate to, if these are things you've used before. So the very first one was that when it came to finances, right? So again, you were talking money here, that I was born on the wrong side of the tracks. That was my excuse. Okay. I knew that we were not like wealthy growing up. I knew that we weren't like, winning with money. We went to food bank. Okay. We waited in line. We got donations. We didn't have Christmas presents some years. Like all of those were realities for me growing up. So I knew that that was the case. So later on in life, when I started failing with finances, instead of admitting I suck at money, I should go read books and learn about money. Instead, I used the excuse of, well, it's because of how I was raised, right? It's because my parents didn't have it. It's because I grew up in the sticks. Right. When I say sticks, I grew up in Big Lake, Alaska. There's like 500 people, or 5,000 people in my surrounding town, 60 kids in my graduating class. If you were a man, you were expected probably to end up on drugs or in prison. If you were a girl, you were probably going to get pregnant in high school. That was the stereotype of Houston high school. So I didn't have like this background where I was going to be, wealthy and have all this success. And I knew that. So that was my excuse. Well, I was never supposed to. I was not part of that group. Okay. Now, the way that I handle that, and the way that I handle any excuse, is I had to look at my results, right? Because if I'm seeing something I don't like, and I know I don't like it, but I'm changing it so that I can keep being right, so that I can blame it on somebody else and make it an excuse, or blame it on something else and make it an excuse, it's going to be hard for me to go to the root of it and say, well, I'm just not looking at this correctly. Because if I had the ability to do that, I would have never started the cycle of the excuse in the first place. Right? So I had to start actually looking at my results. Am I getting the results with my money that I want? Okay. I wasn't even aware of the excuse. Like I had it, I was using it. I knew I was using it, but I wasn't aware of it as an excuse that was holding me back financially. So I had to look at, get married, 18, 19 years old, first 6 months of marriage, boom, homeless. Right? How's that for your honeymoon? So I had to look at, okay, my result right now is I'm homeless. Not earning enough income. My wife and I both work at jobs we hate. I was a pizza delivery boy. She worked at GNC, the nutrition store, and we both didn't like it. And so I had to look at my statistics, my results, and realize I don't like what I'm getting. Okay, I was logical enough to look at if I don't like what I'm getting, I need to look at what's causing it. This is how you start breaking down an excuse. I need to start looking at what's causing my results. And I need to start actually like looking at it like, okay, well, I do this and I do that and I go here and I go here and I think this and I think that, and this is my belief system and here's my behavior. Like, especially with money, like, you know, these things. I know these things. It's an accounting system. So when I start tracking the stats of my finances and saying, okay, I'm making $1,500 a month. Don't like that, right? Spending, $400 a month on supplements. Not a bad thing, but if I'm if I'm making $1,500 and my car payment is $700, the math doesn't quite work, right? Hence why we're homeless. So then I start looking, okay, the numbers here don't work. This is what I love about money, is it splits the excuse in half. The numbers don't work. See, I could confront that the numbers were wrong. I couldn't yet confront that I was wrong, but I could see, okay, yeah, the numbers are wrong. We're making 1,500 and we're spending 1,100 just between supplements and rent, or not even rent, supplements and car payment. Still got to buy groceries, still got to buy gas, still got to pay the phone bill. That's why we have no money. Okay, so then I started looking at logically, well, how do I change this? I could try and spend less. Okay, but the problem is, and you guys have heard me say this is out of experience. You can budget yourself all the way down to homeless, but you can't go less than that. And I know that because I've tried it. Okay, and I don't recommend it. It's not a good idea, right? So I knew, like, okay, we can't spend less. We're literally homeless. I was considering, do I repo my car? Do I give my car back? Because again, when I was 9, I watched my parents do that. So I was like, well, I could just repo the car and give it back. I was afraid of what was going to happen, so I didn't do that. So then I looked at, okay, well, then I've got to somehow make more money. Now, in my world at that time, and maybe this is you, when I thought of making more money, the only concept I had was working more. Let me go ask my boss for more hours. Okay. Because I was a pizza guy. I wasn't going to make commission. I wasn't a business owner. I didn't have wealthy relatives. So there's no way for me to like just go like poof and make 5 or 10 grand. So I had to go fight for another shift. Can I work on Friday night later? Can I stay on Sunday? Like adding hours to my schedule. Okay. And this is really quick, a pit stop I want to make. If someone's in this position, that is the right thing to do. Go work more. Okay. We have a lot of negativity towards jobs and income. I will admit, I like being a business owner and I like being self-employed more than I liked being an employee. But guess what? I liked being an employee with an income a hell of a lot more than I liked being unemployed and homeless. Okay. So you look at it as gradients. Like, of course, everyone wants to be wealthy. Of course, everyone wants passive income. Of course, everyone wants to work for themselves. Those are all good things. But at the end of the day, if I don't have an income, the solution is go work. Okay. That's like from the beginning of time, that's how you go make money, is work. You produce something. So that was what I was doing. And then I started realizing I could only work so much. Okay. I ran into that barrier because again, I'm trying to handle this thing of I'm homeless. I'm not making enough money. And I hadn't yet identified my excuse. I was working more. I was doing all the right things. Yeah, the income went up, but it wasn't tremendous. And when I earned more, I started spending more. So my life really didn't change that much. And then I started to have to look at myself. Okay. I changed everything but me. I was the only thing I hadn't changed yet. My situation didn't improve that much. Sure, I wasn't homeless anymore, but now I was just renting a crappy apartment above somebody else's house. Okay, still couldn't live out on the weekends and hang out with my wife and do the things I wanted to do the way we wanted to. Couldn't travel, right? So I had to then look at myself. I was the only thing I hadn't changed at that point. Okay, and then I started looking at, okay, well, if I were to look at myself, what would I look at? Now, this is key. Like, there's a difference between being introvertedly a victim. I'm this, I'm that, I'm damaged goods, so I can't. Then there's also just looking for out points. How do I fix these things that I keep doing because they keep screwing things up? Okay. And that's how I identified the excuse, right? So it starts with, I see something I don't like and I decide that I'm going to make it different than it is so that I can assign it to someone or something else, so that it's no longer my responsibility, so that I can keep doing the wrong thing and making sense that it's right when it's not really right and it's not really reasonable and it's not really logical. The identification of the excuse starts the same. I see something I don't like. Okay, here it's the stat. It's what's happening with my money. Okay, but then from there it's reversed. I have to then start to like actually confront what's really going on. If I see that I don't like my money, just like in my example, I then had to look at what's really going on here. Again, math, money is math. It's black and white. So this is not a complicated step. I either earn this much and I spend this much and it works, and I save this much and I invest this much and it works, or I don't do those things and they don't work. There's only two answers when it comes to money. The math makes sense or the math does not make sense. Okay. So it's not like counseling or emotions where there could just be thousands of reasons. There's just not. With money, I earned more than I spent or I didn't. Right. So I'm going to look at that. I'm going to confront what's really going on. Then I'm going to start looking for why. And I'm usually going to focus on monetary factors first. How do I save more money? How do I stop spending as much? How do I increase my income? Before I identify the original thing, which is what I changed because of myself, because I couldn't be wrong. Even though I still was, I couldn't be wrong in my own mind because I was just that mentally fragile, right? I couldn't confront that I wasn't earning enough income. So when I identified the excuse of, I'm not from that group. Okay, this is a funny one because I was the school kid, the church kid, the family kid, and I had to look around at all the people that I grew up with and knew, and then I had to look at their results because I looked at mine. I didn't like mine. I started changing things, and then I looked at myself and I was like, what do I have to change about myself? Well, I keep on referencing back to how I was raised and who I was raised with and how we grew up with money, and keeping those thoughts and behaviors and habits with me in present time. Why don't I go look at their stats? Okay, now I did this completely wrong. I was very invalidative. I was like, oh, these people are losers. Like my family's not good with money. My friends aren't good with money. And I was very like invalidating in the way that I did it. You don't have to be that way. Okay, I did it. I caused some upsets. I burned some bridges doing that. What I'm saying is, no, I'm just looking at data, right? I could have a wealthy person and a poor person, and I can look at their statistics without judging either of them. So what I had to do is I had to look at my friends and family and what they have and their stats. I didn't like mine. Do I like theirs? Not to make them right or wrong, but to look at, do I want what they have? For me, I didn't want what they had. So then I was able to then look at, well, I don't want to be in that group. My original excuse was I'm in that group, so I can't. Now I made the decision because of how I went through this process that I don't want to be in the group anymore. I don't want to be the person that all I have is a house. I don't want to be the family that's paycheck to paycheck. I don't want to be the family that, I send my kids to public school and they eat crappy cafeteria food for free and they have bugs crawl through their cereal that we got from food bank. I don't want those things. Therefore, I'm not going to be part of this group anymore. You guys see that? Like, I know that was a roundabout way, but I want to really break down the mechanics and the functions again. I'm actually going to type these out so you guys can see this, because this is a method that we can all use, because we all make excuses. We all make excuses with our finances. Okay. So again, here's the excuse. Step one, see a problem. Okay. A problem, something I don't like, something that is, I wanted this, instead I got this. Okay. Change what I see is step two. Right? Life is all about reality, agreements, perceptions. How do I see it? If I don't like the problem, I can fix it, or I can just look at it differently so that it doesn't seem to be a problem anymore, even though it is. Okay. Step number three, assign responsibility elsewhere. This is the anatomy of making an excuse. This is so weird typing this out like it's a little instruction manual, but this is what we go through. Okay. Make self right by making others wrong. Okay. These are the steps we're going to go through. And then the final step, keep doing same thing. Right. So here's the anatomy of an excuse. Okay. So number one, see a problem. Number two, change what I see. Number three, assign responsibility elsewhere. Number four, make myself right. Sometimes I do this by making others wrong, and then I keep doing the same thing. Okay, this is the anatomy of an excuse. If I were to change this, here's what my steps would be. So let me give you guys this now. So this is solution. See a problem. It starts exactly the same. I see something I don't like. Okay. Confront the math. Step three, fix the math. Step four, fix self. Step 5, look around. Step 6, fix environment. Okay, and in doing this, I would automatically be assuming responsibility. Step number 7, fix problem. Right, so these are the steps I would go through. And I wanted to type these out because if I have any excuse with money, because for me, right off the bat, it was I wasn't earning enough. Then it was, I was able to start earning more, but then I was spending too much money. So again, excuse, I see a problem, I'm spending too much money. Well, if I change what I see, I'm not spending too much money. It's just a lot of things came up at once, right? There's my excuse. I changed what I see, assign the problem elsewhere. I just did, right? Now it's not my fault. It's the fault of the things. There's a lot of things that came up at once. Okay, now I can be right. I wasn't planning for any of this. Does it sound familiar? Then I keep doing the same thing. Okay, my solution here. Okay, so I would see a problem. Don't like what's going on with my money, right? I'm spending too much. I'm maybe not going to see it as that. I'm just going to see I feel broke, paycheck to paycheck, confront the math, look at the numbers. This is the key. Now, here's why I talk so much about understanding money, guys. I can't confront the math if I don't understand money. Right? If I'm not training and studying and learning about finances, I can't confront the math because I don't know the math, because I don't understand money. Same thing with step number 3. I can't fix the math if I don't understand finances. Okay, understanding politics is not going to help me in step 2 or 3. Understanding, the latest and greatest in the entertainment world is not going to help me fix number 2 or 3. Understanding the lyrics to the latest Cardi B song is not going to help me fix step number 2 or 3. Okay. Having lots of followers on Instagram is not going to help me fix number 2 or 3. The only thing that will help me fix step number 2 or number 3 is understanding money. Okay. So once I fix the math, then I'm forced to then fix myself because I can only fix the math so much. Okay. Then I can look around because I've fixed myself and I start seeing me in relation to others. And then I start realizing, okay, I need to fix my environment too. And by doing that, I end up fixing the problem. Because I confront my mindset, I confront what I believe, I confront what I think, I confront what I'm doing, I confront all of that stuff. Okay, so these are the steps that I would take. Now, a couple of the ones that I want to hit too that I started to advance onto, and I want to actually take this from the book here. Okay, so this is one that I want to hit: the excuse of I have time. I started using this, right? I have time. This is from my book, How to Create Wealth. Okay, here it says, I have time. Now, this is talking about that excuse, which for me, once I started to be get good at earning income, I realized I'm, 22 years old. Most people never make money until they're in their 40s. They don't retire till they're in their 60s. I have time. That was what I would tell myself. Okay. So here it says, I will be honest, you do not have time. As someone who is young, this is me writing this later on, right? As somebody who is young, I can tell you it does not need to take time. I got serious 3 years ago. Okay, and made it happen for myself over that course of time. I'm nowhere close to where I need to be, but I'm beating 99% of America. Stop being comfortable and pretending like things will take care of themselves. They won't. Okay. And you don't have time. You'll wake up and be 57 years old and realize you're still broke. Okay. So this is from my book. I want to hit that because that's the excuse that I see most people do. I have time. I'm comfortable. I don't have to worry about it. Right? It's not urgent. Like finances for people are not urgent. It's more urgent to, bicker about Democrats and Republicans. It's more urgent to bicker about, whatever it is people bicker about, right? So this is something that should be urgent. If I'm on Instagram and I don't understand money, nothing else in my life should matter until I understand money. Okay. If the most important thing in my life right now is I'm trying to get a PlayStation 5, that tells me I don't understand money. I'm seeing some of this in the comments right now, right? So the thing is the excuse of I have time. Like, I want to really break this down as an excuse because there should be urgency behind earning income. This is what changed it for me in the book. Like I said, I made progress in 3 years. From the age of like 22 to 25, I went mad. Okay. I earned more money than I ever did. I saved more money than I ever did. I invested more money than I ever did. I'm 28 now. I'm an accredited investor. And that's because I realized I don't have time. Okay. So here's what happened for me with that excuse. And I want to hit this one because most people have this. I've got time. And I think it's the root of most of the other excuses of I can't do it, or procrastination, or it's not important, is the excuse of I have time. If I didn't have time, then I wouldn't be worrying about whether or not I could do it. Like, think about anything in your life that has come down to the wire that was urgent. You didn't worry about, can I do it? You're like, shoot, I need to do something. I don't know if it's going to work, but I can't do nothing. Right? So when I look at this excuse of I have time, again, I looked at something that I didn't like. Okay. For me, I was looking at, like, I didn't like the idea of trading time for money and living in financial slavery. At the age of 17, I decided I was going to opt out of that system. So I saw the problem. I looked at, okay, I don't like this game. I don't like the idea of go to school and get good grades so that I can go to college and get a degree, so that I can get a job, so that I can buy a house, so that I can have kids, so that someday I can, fund my 401k and pay the house off and retire when I'm 60. And then on top of all of that, bam, my mom dies at 60. So I just looked at the whole roadmap, and then it didn't work for the person at that time in my life, one of the people I loved the most. Right. So I was looking at this thing and I was like, I don't like this. This is a problem. This is not something that I'm on board for. That was me seeing the problem. Now, instead of looking at, okay, well, then I better really hurry up and get financially free, I changed it. I was like, well, then I'm not going to participate. Okay. Like, instead of looking at, I should be financially free and we should have generational wealth and nobody should have to live this way and it's a scam, I didn't as is it like that. I didn't look at it the way that it really was. I looked at it as, this is a system that I don't have to participate in and I have time. There's the excuse, right? Now I can make everyone else wrong. I'm younger. Of course you got to do that. You're older than I am. Okay. Of course you got to do that. Like, you went to college, you got student loan debt. I don't, right? Of course you've got to do it. And I would have all of these reasons to make myself more right for not making my finances an urgent priority. Okay. And then I could keep doing the same things. Okay, the reality is this, guys, time is made up. So when we talk about wealth, we're talking about passive income that exceeds savings, expenses, and taxes, right? So if I'm trying to build up passive income that exceeds my savings, expenses, and taxes, that means that I would have to have passive income, which means that I would have to have invested. To invest, I would have had to have saved. To save, I would have had to earn. Okay, to earn, I would have had to produce. And to produce, I would have had to have some knowledge of money that made me want to go do it. And I would actually had to have, like, the desire to do it. Right. So when I'm saying I have time, it's not urgent, it's not important, all of these things, I'm comfortable, like all these things that keep me from really making financial progress, I need to realize that none of that sequence of actions that I just mentioned involves time. Time is the consideration of motion. When I see something change, that's measured in time because I don't know how to measure it elsewhere. Caveman saw the sun move from this side of the sky to that side of the sky. They had to make up a way to measure that. There really is no such thing as time. There's just motion. Okay, and the measurement of it. So when I talk about it in that stance, time has nothing to do with it. It's how fast do I move? How quickly do I get this done? How fast are my actions? How much can I produce? And how quickly can I make it happen? Okay, we're going to see time, like, sure, we're going to say, well, I got it done, like I said in my book, 3 years, right? But that's not really what it was. It wasn't a 3-year thing. It was my motion and my action. And that just happens to be how long it took. Okay, so if I keep saying I have time, what am I really doing? I'm making it okay for me to not be in motion in that direction. I'm making it all right. I'm making it reasonable. I'm making it a correct decision for me not to make the right actions happen with my finances. So by saying I don't have time and then making it okay not to take action, I literally am not having time. I'm getting rid of the time because the time would have been correlated to my action. And by taking a longer amount of time to do the actions, okay, then I'm actually getting rid of the time. So by saying I have time, I automatically don't because I'm not doing anything. You guys see that? By saying I don't have time, it's making me okay not to act. By not acting, I'm not doing anything. By not doing anything, I'm not getting anywhere. Therefore, there's no motion. Therefore, there's no measurement of motion, which means there's no time. Boom. When I first learned that, I was like, holy crap. Okay, that's when it got urgent for me. I realized I hated the job. I didn't like trading time for money, which again, we just talked about time is not real. It's a movement. It's a measurement of motion. I didn't like trading my emotion for money. For me, that was slavery. That is slavery, having to move for money. It's like someone says jump and I jump. Someone says sit, I sit. Someone says lay, I lay. Someone says roll over, I roll over, except that someone is money and the money is backed by nothing and it's controlled by a government. I didn't want any of that. I knew that at 18 years old. I somehow put that together. This money's not backed by anything. I don't want anything to do with it. Okay, but the excuse that I had of I have time, it doesn't have to be urgent. It's not something that I have to push on. It's not a priority. I've got till I'm 60. All of this stuff, like it was actually making it worse because then I had to stay at the pizza job longer, doing the thing I hated, trading my emotion for money, which I knew wasn't worth anything and was backed by nothing. Right? So that's something I want to talk about. Now, the other one that I want to address that kind of is a split off of I don't have time is I'm too busy. Okay. These are probably the most prevalent ones I hear. I don't have time or I'm too busy. Okay. Aren't those kind of the form of like the polar opposite? I don't have time means I'm doing nothing. Because if I'm not moving, there's no motion, like measurement of the motion, which means I have no time, which means I'm doing nothing. Or I'm too busy, which means I'm doing lots of things. I'm doing too many things that I can't add more things into it. Again, I've got to look at the idea of my stats and my results. Okay, if I'm busy, am I actually getting progress? Am I actually getting the stat that I want? Am I actually achieving financial success? Okay, because busy would assume that I'm making lots of movement, which means there's lots of time, which means there's lots going on. So if there's lots going on, am I hitting my goals? Okay, am I getting the numbers that I want to get? Am I saving the money I want to save? Am I earning what I want to earn? Okay, am I investing what I want to invest in? If I am, great. Busy is totally validated if I'm getting my results. If I'm not, what the hell am I busy doing? Because it's not producing anything. There's no stat. There's nothing going on that proves that my busy is actually productive. It's producing. It has a product. Right? So these are the excuses I hear. I see a couple in the comments that we're going to hit at the end of this on excuses you guys have maybe heard, used, resounded with. But I want to hit this because the excuses are things that are self-induced. Okay, they're things that we come up with. They're things we say to make us right so that we can keep doing the same things and losing with money. Okay, there's nothing wrong with being on your track and having your own timeline and your own goals and your own definition of progress. There is something wrong though with not, and then pretending like you are and then using an excuse to make it okay to keep doing. Okay, everything in life revolves around money. You're born, there's oxygen, gravity, and money. Those are three things that you're opted into. You cannot not participate in. I tried not participating in money, ended up homeless. Okay, so those are three things that are not going to go away. Okay, oxygen we might go out into outer space and you have to worry about oxygen. You got a mask that does all that for you. Who knows, right? Gravity again, we might go, populate Mars. There's no gravity all of a sudden. You will still have money if you live on Mars. There will still be a currency system. You will still need an economy. You will still need to produce. You will still spend on things. So in my opinion, money is the most important one. Because if I have more money, I can buy oxygen and gravity. Right? So for me not to understand it, for me to make excuses to not succeed with it, like I want to go back to what I said at the beginning, an excuse financially starts when I see something I don't like. Okay, but the problem is the excuse doesn't fix it. The excuse doesn't change it. The excuse does not solve the problem. It just makes it easier for me to live with the problem. Easier for me to not have to look at it, for me to continue the same behavior without having to realize what I'm doing doesn't work. Okay, now there's another level of excuses too. Like I said, is once you start handling yours, then you got to start handling other people's that you've adopted. Okay, we won't want to get into that tonight because this is a whole nother story. But when I start looking at my own financial excuses and nailing those down, then I start seeing, okay, well, probably 80% of my financial beliefs are based on my parents and peers and teachers' excuses. They're not actually real. That's their excuses. See, this is why I'm so big on financial knowledge. Most of the things we have regarding money, it's not knowledge. It's repeating what we heard other people say. Okay, but where did they get it from? Okay, where did they come up with it? What if it was just their own excuse that they then passed on to me so that they could reinforce their own rightness so that they didn't have to fix their problems? Probably the case if I have the same problems my parents had, or the same problems my peers had, or the same problems that my friends had. That means all of us are going through and we're seeing and doing the same things and regurgitating the same information. So guys, this is something that I want to cover today because it's so important. Like the bottom line for me, and this, I'm very hard and firm on this because of the fact that I've been doing this for so long. Everyone should be financially successful. Nobody is stopping us from it. The only thing stopping us from financial success is education and our own excuses. There's no politician holding me back. There's no politician holding you back. Doesn't matter what color your skin is. I've seen black, white, Asian, doesn't matter. Hispanic, make wealth happen. Every single nation in the world. It does not matter your gender. I've seen both men and women make wealth, but I can look at what's my knowledge. If I don't know something, that's going to hold me back. Okay. If I make excuses, I can't because of this reason or that reason, or these people's fault, or that circumstance, or that experience, or this status that I have, or this demographic that I happen to be in. Those are all excuses for not making it happen. Okay, we've got to get rid of those. So again, if you're watching this, guys, I'm going to open this up for questions. If you're watching this, some of this we pulled from my book, How to Create Wealth. If you saw this and you want to grab a copy, you can go to jerryfetta.com. It is free. You cover your shipping. So again, jerryfetta.com, How to Create Wealth. And I highly recommend you dive into like some form of financial knowledge and studying. Like if you're clients of mine, you guys already know this. If you're not clients of mine, there's not something that's going to be more helpful in your life than understanding money. Okay, it just makes life easy understanding how it works. So what I want to do is I want to open this up for comments really quick. Let me hit Instagram first. We've got about 10 minutes left. Thank you guys all for watching. Let's see. I do not see any quality comments on Instagram yet, which is usually pretty typical. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Quinzo says, this is so cool. This is simple, but really powerful. Thank you. You'll see that that's probably the case with most of my content. Let's see here. Someone says, why are you talking about money? There's humble people in the world who haven't touched a single dollar. They should. Like, money is important. If I would say that's an excuse. Why are you talking about this? There's humble people. Like, having money doesn't mean you're not humble. Having money means you're educated. It means you understand how to produce. It means you're valuable, right? In other countries, they might not use dollars, but they have a currency system. There's a way to measure value and exchange between individuals. So if I'm a producer, great. I'm going to have money in some way, shape, or form. All right, that's all I see on Instagram. Let me go ahead and log them off because they're going to turn off in about a few minutes here. Let me check out questions and comments we have on Zoom here. So we have a couple excuses I used to use. I am a minority. I don't have enough experience. Love of money is the root of all evil. Those are good. And thank you for confronting that you used those. It sounds like you say used, so it sounds like they're not things you still use, but I've used all the same ones. Okay. I might be a white guy, but I was a minority. I lived in Big Lake, Alaska. Living in Alaska makes me a minority. Like, it's the second least populated state by land, or the first least populated state by land mass. So someone making it from Alaska, if you go Google billionaires per state, Alaska has none. So when I look at like the idea of minority, there's a group of people that's larger and I'm not in that group, right? So that could be skin color, it could be race, it could be religion, it could be social status, it could be where you live, it could be your thoughts. Guys, like, the fact that you're on this live stream means you're a minority. Most people aren't. So I'm glad you confronted that. But again, I think you've handled that excuse already, but that's not something I think holds anyone back other than what's between their ears and what they think about being a minority. I don't have experience. Love that one. I didn't have experience either. The love of money is the root of all evil. That was a big one I grew up with. I was a church kid, so I heard that all the time. Guys, I want to actually hit that one really quick. Thank you for bringing that up, Jose. So I cover this in my book, The Love of Money is the Root of All Evil. And I just want to ask one question, is rhetorical, and just think about your own answer. Who loves money more? The person who has so much of it that they don't care about it. They don't consider it in their actions. They don't think about how much things cost. They don't wonder if they can give. Or the person that has so little of it that they consider it in every single action. Think about that. Out of those two people, who loves money more? My answer is the second one. I've been the second one, where money was involved in every single decision. Can I afford that? Can we help these people? I don't think we can, because then I won't have enough left. Can I go here? Can I do this? Can I give to my church? Like, those were all things that I didn't do because I did not have enough money. And because I didn't have enough money, I had low havingness. I loved it so much, like I had to just keep it. That's worse than I'm wealthy and I can just get rid of it and not think about it. So great thoughts there. Clemente asks, any interesting tax info or courses to study? Clemente, if you have a Wealth Dynamics University membership, we have some tax information there. Several courses on taxes, how they work. We also do have a tax office, a tax firm. We can help with that as well. Someone says, great response to the humble comment. Thank you. Another question here. How does one stop making those financial decisions, but they still got to face those decisions from the past? So I think what's being asked is, let's say, the easiest one is debt. Let's say that I'm in a bunch of debt because I made bad financial decisions because I had a bunch of excuses. So I think what he's asking is, how do I handle that, but then not keep dwelling on it and doing it again in the future? So the first thing is realize I was wrong. I've had debt. Okay. I've made dumb decisions. I've bought things I didn't use, charged them up on credit cards, didn't get what I thought I'd get out of them. And so I have to just assign myself responsibility. Again, it comes down to the math doesn't work. So if my numbers are not working, in this case, for example, let's say I have a debt, I've got lots of payments, and I see that that's the problem. And I'm realizing that's a stat that I don't like. What's going on there? And I go investigate the numbers and I start seeing, well, I've got 10 grand on a credit card and it's costing me $500 a month, let's say, right? I don't know if that lines up on what you're asking, but let's say that that's the case. Okay. I would then look at, okay, like, how do I fix this? That's the first thing. How do I fix this? So it's not about even the past yet. It's about, I have a problem. I'm going to fix the problem. Let me start paying off the credit card. Okay. Let me start earning more. Let me start spending less. Let me start putting more money towards this. Okay. As I'm doing that, I would then realize, either through intelligence, observation, don't keep charging credit cards, or through experience, I just paid off that entire credit card and I racked another one up and now I'm back where I started. I would learn, stop charging credit cards. So that's the part of, I would not keep doing the same thing in the future. Okay. So my decisions would change. And at some point through the work, I would get to the realization of, I caused this. I'm responsible for it. Now, for me, I have the hindsight 2020 thing and the viewpoint. I've done it, paid it off. For me, that's just part of paying the price for bad decisions. Okay. Unfortunately, when it comes to money, stupid is not free. I'm going to say that again. When it comes to money, stupid is not free. When I make dumb money decisions, they're expensive. That's just part of paying the price. It's like serving my sentence. So I've got to pay my dues, handle the stupid, pay it off, get rid of it. And then I'm just not going to keep doing stupid because I remember what happened last time. So again, that's how I would look at it. And it takes a lot of willingness to confront, accept responsibility, and work and do what's required to get it taken care of. One may be dealing with the consequences, but at the same time have made the decision no longer make those decisions. Yeah. So I think I was dead on with that. So that's what I would say there is fix it first. Like, don't worry about what happened and who did it. Like, just go fix the problem. And through that, you'll realize the solutions, right? And you'll realize how much work it is taking. And because of how much work it's taking, you're not going to keep doing it. And like, that's all it is I made a bad decision with money. And that bad decision with money was so bad that it followed me. That's it. I don't have to think about it anymore. I just have to pay it off or handle it or get rid of it and make it solved. And then it's done. Right. I've seen people that have this with business debt, student loans, bad marriage decisions. Like, I made a bad decision Okay. I'm not going to be a victim about it and make that my new excuse as for why I can't exceed. I'm also not going to not handle it, and I'm not going to dwell on it either. I'm just going to say, it's like driving a car. Like if I swerve, I'm not going to keep swerving. I'm going to correct and then go straight. And then I'm going to acknowledge, like, I just swerved. I'm not going to keep doing that, but I'm not going to keep my hand on the wheel thinking about how I just swerved. That wouldn't make any sense. So that's what I would do there. Let me see if we have any other questions here. Justin, good to see you on Facebook. Just as I'm with Wealth Dynamics because I want to make the most of the time I have. That is awesome. That's what we're about. Good. So I think that's all the questions we have, guys. So if you don't have a copy of my book yet, go to jerryfetta.com, get a copy of my book, How to Create Wealth. It's free. You cover your shipping. We'll send the book out to you for free. And then you will also get a call from our team. They'll walk you through it and make sure you're able to implement the data here. But guys, thank you for tuning in. If this helped you, make sure you share it, and I will see you all next time.